Welcome back to the Bomberman TypeScript development series. It's been a long while, I'm sorry. My apologies. I'll try to be better. I'll try to upload it like about once a week, once every 2 weeks in the future. Because this was quite pathetic, to be honest. But we're back now, we're looking at how to do it. Now obviously I kind of forgot how everything worked. I also had to just reclone the repository. So I assume that might be the same for you. So I'll in the description put a link to download, to clone last week's episode, but last episode to your PC, and then you'll basically have what I'm starting with. There's only one difference. I've put a bomb.png file in our server, because that's what we'll be implementing today. There are obviously quite a few things we can still do on the render engine and so forth, but let's just get some game mechanics in, actually get something that looks somewhat good, you know. Now obviously I'm quite lost on how everything works, so I'll probably be not sure what to do quite a few times, but that's alright. We'll have a look. Now we have our 3 entities, our map, which shouldn't be an entity, but we'll change that in the future, our test brick and our player. Now we're going to add one entity to that, which is a bomb. Obviously that's not really how it works. Usually a player spawns a bomb or something like that, but for now we'll just create a bomb and then we'll see how it goes from there. For that we'll add an entity. What? We have our render methods, and then I'm pretty sure we have our setup method. Yeah, we have a setup method that we can use to set up our entity. And this is not where I put it. This is where I put that. Setup, game data. And as you might have noticed, my fingers are not warm yet, but that's alright. We load an image from image utils, load image from URL. Try that again. There we go. Which is bomb.png. Now from the sheet image we load a sheet, which is new sprite sheet using this sheet. Just sprite sheet. Using this sheet image, and the sprite width is 48 by 48. Let's create a sprite for now. We'll use a sheet. We'll say, okay, this is position, right? Yeah, so 0 by 0. That's the start of the file, and I will just say this is sprite.render game data. What else? Oh, position. I'll just do 100 by 100 with a width of 64 by 64, because everything in the game is 64 by 64. We might make it a bit smaller, I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Now, onwards to our bomberman being adding the entity. Did I not export it? I didn't export it. Yes. Okay. If you want to run it, once again, go to server, npm start, and go to the client npm run dev. Make sure to install parcel first, because it uses parcel. Ta-da! It doesn't have the parcel bundler installed by itself, so you might have to update parcel. If you get an error, that's probably what's up. What port is it? There we go, we have our little bomb, as you can see. Let's make that a bit bigger. We have our little bomb, and it looks absolutely amazing. Now it's a bit blurry, obviously, because we kind of resized it. This should make a bit more clear. Yeah, it might look better in this size, to be honest. We'll keep it in this size for now. Now obviously we need our player to spawn the bomb. instead of the other way around. Now, when we're at our player, we'll have a look. I'm pretty sure we don't have anything yet that can. What's in game data? Yeah, we don't have anything that can spawn entities or so on, like an entity manager. Yeah, all entities are just in the game. That's not what we want. Setup entities, is that a thing? Why is there setup entities? Oh, okay, I just run setup on all the entities. That's understandable. Yeah, that's one of those things we kind of will probably have to like have a look at that, how exactly we're going to do it. Because this is not the way. Because obviously not all entities will have, not all entities will have this setup thing. Like we need to have this setup thing called for all entities, but it's not really how it works. Because we can't just add a bomb and then run the setup right before we add it to the screen. That's not really how it works. So we'll have to find a way to fix that. But for now, we need to probably get our entity thingies into a manager or a handler or whatever you want to call it, which is part of the engine. And what we'll do is we'll have list of entities, simple as that. I'm not using those. Just like that. I will just have a get entity. No, that's not what we want. We just return this entities. Whew, it's been a while since I've worked with this. Holy shit. We have our entity manager. Alright, let's start with that. In our game, instead of entities, we'll have private entity manager. Which is an entity manager? Who would have thought? Entity manager. Now I want to add that to game data. There we go. And then this entity is a push, which is just this.entity manager.add entity. Oh. Not exactly sure how this works. Okay, I see. So if our entity implements collidable, then we kinda add collision. Let's do that for now. Let's just make it clean. Okay. Add this again. Something, I don't know. Setup entities. So this dot entity manager dot get entities. Obviously not what we're going to do in the future, but for now. Okay. Sounds good. Now in our player, let's have a look. We have our key listener here. So if key listener dot so if key listener dot is key down space, I don't know, is space a key? Come on. Give me console, please, thank you. Why oh my. If key listener is key down. So look at wall string on. This is key down, right? Yeah. But did my key break? Like whenever I press D, just nothing happens. Oh my god, you have to be joking. Oh, it's fine, actually. It's fucking Vimium plugin is like just taking out those. But I did not expect this. It's just like an actual space. Is that really what's happening? Come on. Key down. Oh, the code is space. Ah, that sucks. Oh, well, I guess we'll just do it this way then. That's fine. Alright, so if it's a space, then we want to spawn a new entity. We have our game data. So bomb plus new bomb. Obviously, we'll need to give it a position, but we'll say game data dot entity manager identity bomb. Now in our game, bomberman game, when we add the bomb entity, we want to not do that for now, so we can actually see what we do. I'm going to just go in private mode. That way I don't have any of those plugins bothering me. Okay, there we go. Now I press space and nothing happened. Okay, this was prices undefined. I did not set up that entity. So we need to run this setup. That's a bit of an annoying thing. That's a really annoying thing. Because that's really not what we want to do. I'm not sure. There are a few ways we can solve this, right? So we can either put our image loading, like we can just load our image beforehand, and then it just has to run this code, which is fine. Like it's not really a lot, to be honest. And then we can just run setup every time. It's honestly fine. The other way we can do it is just make sure we run this setup once for every entity, and like for it to return, I don't know, sprite. No? Oh. And then we just run it once, and then we save the return of this. And every time we create a sprite, we just pass it the return of this. If you know what I mean. It's a possibility. I don't know what the task one's cleaner. Which one are we going to go? Which one are we going to go? Let's just do our image loading. Yeah, might be best. Oh. I have static preloads, which are images. Just an image. No. Oh, let's which are HTML image elements. The records put a name and then that thing. So public static preload image URL string. I will just say post public static is static async, sounds better. So it's probably that. Okay, so we load our image equals load image from URL, this URL, and then there are two possibilities. Either we pass a name. That's probably best. That's probably best that we pass a name. And then we say this dot preloads name equals image. No? What's wrong? Oh, we didn't do waiters. Okay, now we have our preloads. Public static load get preloaded main this stop preloads. Now you could throw an error here if you don't find it, but I'm not going to do that. In our bomberman game, we're going to have our thing called preload, because like the thing with our game, the reason why we're going this way, by the way, the thing with our game is that we don't really need that much. Like we don't really need that many assets. We need a few assets, and if we just load them when the game starts, or when the scene loads, that's all fine. Let me think. I'm confused. I looked at Discord and completely blanked on where we are. Oh yeah, we're preloading images. Let me just quickly get that done. So what we need in our Bomberman game, well, we don't need it, but it's nice to have, is just a preload phase, you know? So we're going to have that. Where's our abstract? Okay. Protected abstract preload. For this one, we don't really need anything because we're just using image utils, right? So, like, image utils is static. It could probably not be static. That might be better. Is there a reason why it needs to be static? It really doesn't have to be static, because now it actually contains state. So we'll make it not static, but we won't call it image utils. Where is it? Here. We'll call it. I mean, we'll keep image utils because that's quite useful. We'll keep this method in there, but this. Let's keep image cache, something like that. Keep those. And load image utils. Import that. Okay, now we have our image cache. That's much better. Remove the static everywhere. Better. Down in our game, we'll have our image cache. Image cache. Loaded commas. I keep forgetting. Like, you know, some projects you have them, some projects you don't. At the time I started this, I kind of thought, like, it really doesn't matter that much in TypeScript. Just take whatever you prefer. But don't be me, just stick with the same thing. Sometimes you have a client who wants a certain thing and then you have to change, yeah? And then you used to one thing, you got to do the other thing. Okay, preload, and we'll pass image cache. We'll also add that to game data. Oh, if we can. It's quite difficult apparently. And let's actually instantiate it. Game data types, image cache, done. And we actually have to call it. So when right before we call setup, we just go this is game data image. Well, we can just say this is image cache. No. Something I completely forgot. We don't need to put that here if we're just going to, you know, put it in here. We might as well do the same entity. Entity manager, we might have to change everywhere. Is that game data, entity manager, game data, game data, game data. Yeah, there we go. That's all of them. Now we call this, our setup doesn't have to be async, can't be async now, because we're going to call it on every entity right before it gets added to the, whatever it's called. Setup entities. We don't have to set up entities, not how it works anymore. And what's up here? Implementation name must be setup. And this can't be a promise anymore. I have no idea what. Okay, whatever you say. Setup entities. Oh, we don't have setup entities, of course, now. We have our setup entities that we removed. Now, whenever in our entity manager, whenever we add an entity now also needs to keep state was set up. Something like that, I think. That's probably best. And has been set up, maybe sounds better. By default false. Public async run setup, game data, promise void. And then we run this dot setup. We wait. This is setup, and we say this has been set up equals true. What's up here? Oh, game data. And we make this just public. So if entity has been set up, if it's not, then we just set it up. And we pass game data. We don't have game data. We can't pass it as a because that's a two-way binding. That kind of sucks. I was really hoping this was gonna go way better. That's fine, to be honest. I was so hoping this was gonna work. We just have to find a different way to do it. What do we realistically need though in setup? Like, I feel like it's only image creation and so on, right? Like, if we just have our image cache, it could be just fine. Do we have, let's have a look. Our player setup, what does he use? Nothing. Well, he uses image cache, of course, but that's really it. Our test brick setup, image cache. Yeah, it just needs image cache, to be honest. So we could just refactor that to only need image cache. Setup. I mean, I'm coming to this error. I just want to get everything done, and then we'll fix this error as well. This is setup image cache. Oh, is this dot game data dot image cache? Now, what I want to do is image cache, image cache, because I want to post that here, but I also want to pass that to our image, to our entity manager. Because that's what it needs. What's wrong now? What's that? I'm pretty sure I changed the wrong. It's a run setup. So the reason why I do it like this is so the user can override setup, or well, I can override setup, but then I can just keep run setup as a backup kind of thing. Now in our game, we kind of changed setup, which is not what we want to do. This one can still contain game data, still have game data as its parameter. Okay, now this error, is it? Yeah, it's not out. So it's this thing, it's that thing. How is it this thing? That's why it's this thing. That's also easier to fix. Oh yeah, we have to fix our thingies first. So now they need an image cache. Image cache. Okay. That's fine, we'll fix that in a second. Bomb. Image cache. Image cache. Bomberman game. We have our test brick still. Also needs image cache. Image cache. Now, you know, we'll start here. We'll say image cache dot get preloaded. And we'll call it, what's this? Blocks. And then in our Bomberman game. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Here we'll say image cache dot preload image. Maybe we want to add preload images. And we'll just have like a URLs record string. Object.keys URLs.page. I mean, it could be entries. Of URLs. Wait, one thing. We can probably load them all together, right? At the same time? Yeah, we can just load them all together. Object.entries. .map. And we say... Okay. We have our promises and we get them from mapping. What was it? Was it key first? I'm pretty sure it's key first. I'm not sure. I have to look it up. Was it? Object entries. I can type. Okay, whatever. We'll see. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's key first. Key value. And then we return this preload image. Key value. Oh, we should probably name this to name URL. Name URL. And then we just say await promise.all promises. And it will basically, like this will become an array of promises because every single entry in our URLs will be turned into a promise. And then we just wait for all our promises. And this function has a side effect of just adding to preload the image under the name. So that works fine. Preload images. And our first image will be test brick. Now, and we'll call that blocks. It's not an array. There we go. Now, obviously, as quite a few of you might notice, this kind of puts the images away from the entities, and you end up having them in two places. This, in sense, this is fine. You could still maybe over-engineer it, but you know, you could still make it so that you pull this data from your entity. If you want to do that, go right ahead. Oh, actually I have to return. Go right ahead, good luck, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so now our next one is our player, who needs this one. Player instead it will be image cache dot get preloaded player. And this doesn't have to be async anymore. Why is it still? It's not allowed to be async. That's the thing. Because then like async will kind of push you to make it slow. But we don't want to await anything there. Like we're not allowed to make any HTTP requests or something like it. Test brick we've done. Player we've done. Game up we haven't. We haven't at all. Image cache dot get preloaded files. We'll just call it like this. The background, I guess it is. There we go. Game data to screen width. Oh, that's an annoying one. That's a bit of an annoying one. Let me think. How will we solve this? Because in the end, what we kind of have now is, if we go to our game, we just have game data where everything from our game is set. Well, we kind of have two contexts, let's just say. We have our setup context and we have our actual context while the game is running, which are different. Which should be different, I think. Yeah. So basically our screen width and our image cache are like parameters for setup. So we might, other than game data, we'll just create, I don't know, setup context, something like that. Or we could just say, we'll just create setup context here. It's probably best. We'll have screen width, screen height. Wait, one sec. Do we need this here? We don't need this here. We're using width and height here. Wait a second. This is not where we need these things. It's do we not have some more? Screen width, screen height. Oh well, the other way around, but you get the idea. Aha! Problem solved. Okay, now our bomb still needs. Oh, our test brick also still has async probably. Okay, async's gone. Now const sheet image equals image cache dot get preloaded bomb. This does also have the advantage of giving us an idea of what exactly we're loading, you know? Oh, that's better. There we go. And what's still wrong here? This is not allowed to be a promise. Yes, it is. It's basic because we have to await this. There we go. Any errors? No. Let's have a look at whether it still works. Fuck. This of preloads is undefined. Oh, we haven't defined this yet. There we go. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. And our bomb works now too. Well, that's fantastic, isn't it? That's absolutely fantastic. Now, I think this is a good place to end it. I know we really haven't done that much, but we've set up our engine further. This is the kind of way you can expect in half an hour of game development if you're a bit new to the project, saying in the same sense that I'm just coming back to it after a long break. Yeah, next time we'll probably go a bit quicker, but I wanted to, get an idea of what was actually working, and we refactored a few pieces of the code. Right, thanks for watching. Next time we'll just add the bomb mechanics and start dragging them around, getting some explosions, breaking some blocks eventually. So that sounds fun. Right, thanks for watching. Have a good one and bye.